And now, the nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards. You think they'll notice? Okay, here's what's going on at Eastern Michigan.
A feeling of relief on the campus of Eastern Michigan University, knowing that after a year, someone who attempted to divide the student body with racist graffiti has been arrested. There was also a bit of surprise when they found out this man, 29-year-old Eddie Curlin, a former student here, has been charged with 3 counts of malicious destruction of property.
Why do you have like such low self-esteem? Like, yeah, it's like looking down upon yourself.
It's not.
It was low self-esteem. That's why. He just really doesn't like himself. Get him to counseling so he can get a better self-image. Come on. Anyway, there's more.
Productive. You know, I don't think that there was anything positive behind his motives.
The first episode of vandalism was discovered in September of 2016. KKK spray painted at King Hall. The second time happened here at Fort Hall. It was October of 2016 when they found the words "Leave" N-word spray painted on the exterior wall. A third instance of a racial slur found in a dorm.
And these are all the marches that happened. Like these are massive marches apparently at Eastern Michigan.
Bathroom.
It dramatically changed people's interactions, even walking down the street, walking across campus.
There have been some marches over here. So yeah, it was a bad experience altogether.
There were also talks of expelling some of the students who participated in the marches. Now, new students tell us the faculty makes a point to address the changes in a positive way.
My first day when I started, all my professors said this is a positive, healthy environment for everyone to learn.
Police tell us they put a lot into this investigation. 60 people were interviewed. A reward of $10,000 was offered.
Oh my God.
1,200 hours of video was reviewed, and nearly 20 search warrants were executed. All of which led them to
Wait, what
Curlin,
city is this?
who's currently serving.
I don't know. It's Eastern Michigan University. I don't know the actual city.
Oh man, do you think that was campus police or like city police?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good question.
That is such a huge waste of research. Somebody reviewed 1,200 hours of footage.
Yeah. And by the way, the guy they caught, you'll hear here, already in jail.
And nearly 20 search warrants were executed, all of which led them to Curlin, who's currently serving a 1 to 5 year sentence for receiving stolen property. Here on the campus, people are trying to move beyond the divisiveness.
It's unfortunate, the circumstance, but I do see us all moving forward because it is a healthy learning environment. We live in a great, diverse area.
In Ypsilanti, Dave Spencer, Fox 2 News.
At least they the way they were explaining it got me kind of nervous because they almost went full St. Olaf. St. Olaf is a college in Minnesota that had a similar hoax where there were racial flyers, just racial hatred flyers distributed around campus, and they were a hoax.
I don't even remember this. When was this?
Because the reason I remember St. Olaf is because when it was revealed to be a hoax, they basically had the reaction of, well, good things came out of it anyway, so it's fine. Now, these students didn't quite
they were getting close,
but he was
St.
teetering.
Olaf, yeah.
Listen to some of the things, this is briefly from St. Olaf. And this is what I worry these kids are teetering on. They didn't go fully there, so I'm glad. But from a story in the Star Tribune about St. Olaf. For some students, a fake threat doesn't change the reality of racism or the positive changes they've seen on campus since the protests.
How not?
Well, let's hear. Including a task force the university pledged to set up to address minority student concerns. Said one student, quote, "It started something good." This St. Olaf senior, who is black, said he hasn't encountered the sort of racism on campus that he's experienced in the outside world, but he appreciated the St. Olaf community coming together, quote, in a positive way in the face of an apparent threat. Quote, "It shows that if there's a problem, it's not a big problem," he said. Quote, "It shows that there is a campus that stands together." So,
Puke. Oh my God.
Well, it all
what
worked
ends
out.
justifies the means bullshit. And saying that finding out that a crime doesn't change anything for you, that changes the truth that you've based your moral decision on. How does that not change things for you?
Right. The reasoning is really hard to follow because it's like, well, it's good because we've fought a bunch of potential crimes. And the reason we have to worry about the potential crimes is because we faked them. So we've put a lot of effort into fighting them because they could happen, even though without this fake, it's not clear that they would happen, which raises the question of why are we spending resources to fight this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't know. Clap to Eastern Michigan for not going full St. Olaf, but they're close.
Close. Yeah.
You need to come out and say, look, it's done by a black guy trying to perpetuate the victim narrative. This is very clear. This is ridiculous. I can't believe we spent this many resources, this much time, this much effort. It's a fake.
No, now they need a task force to deal with black Nazis.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, speaking of black Nazis, there's a transition for you. It's a black Nazi 2-for-1 week. Apparently. Like after we had this previously, there was the story that we saw earlier. It was a different college. A black guy spray painted a swastika on a garbage can at a different college. Was it like Maryland or something? I seriously can't even remember. But they're all over. They're all over. Are these black Nazis? And we know this because, in part at least, remember State Senator Scott Wiener? You might recall he's the guy that says it's no big deal to give people AIDS intentionally in California. Sorry, HIV, not AIDS. Well, I guess either or. But specifically HIV. He's the author of the bill that reduced the penalty for intentionally infecting a person with HIV from a felony to a misdemeanor. That's Scott Wiener, the unfortunately named Scott HIV's no big deal Wiener. So this is the 27th. So just a couple days ago. This is like Friday morning or Friday afternoon. Anyway, Scott Wiener says on Twitter, this morning, commuters discovered this swastika at Glen Park BART station. If you're unfamiliar, BART is the public transit in the Bay Area Rapid Transit. It's the train, the rail system. Carries people all over the Bay Area. Glen Park is one of the San Francisco stations, and there's this swastika on some sort of pillar there. He says, Nazism and anti-Semitism are alive and well. We have much work to do. Dun, 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 dun. And then the BART police, the transit system police, they put out a release. Hey, we looked at the tape and we are seeking a vandalism suspect who drew offensive images on BART property. Now, to be fair, this image that you see on your screen is from the Embarcadero station, different station than the one Scott Wiener had tweeted, but it is also reported that this guy is suspected at several other stations. So it seems plausible to assume this is our suspect in the Wiener case.
Cool shirt, bro.
Yeah, sweet Star Wars shirt. I do like it. And
every time,
And again, when these are verified hoaxes, like on tape hoaxes, we have this example of why would they do this? Someone asks the BART Twitter account, why was he drawing swastikas? Awful. And the BART Twitter account, we don't know, but what we do know is those sorts of images and offensive language are outrageous and not welcome anywhere on BART. At least they're not saying it's low self-esteem, but they're still doing the routine of why
is your self-esteem so low?
And I get it. BART is a public agency. They probably don't need to make political statements. So I'm not going to rip BART too much. Mm-hmm. But it is frustrating just as an observer where it's like, the answer is obvious.
Yeah.
Let's stop pretending we don't know.
Yeah.
The answer is very obvious.
But the mental gymnastics is hilarious every time.
Yeah.
Why would they do this?
Yeah, we really need to get some counselors to these guys. Hey, chin up. You're really great. You got a lot of talent. You know that? You really need to
places.
You need to have a better opinion of yourself so that you'll stop hating yourself so much that you'll draw swastikas on public property.
Do you remember that one time that we found out that one of the hoax hate crimes was true?
Well, I've got my eye on it because it's the Dumfries, Virginia church where allegedly it was that like weird looking white guy.
Oh, the deliverance looking dude with whose eyes.
Yeah, and the signs he put on
the white.
Yeah, and the signs he put on the door were like third grade artwork.
Yeah.
Day of the rope is coming, and word like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of these has turned out to be probably true.
That guy is suspected. I need to catch up on the story. I'm not aware if he even got charged.
I don't know that I'm skeptical still.
No, he was because he had a court date coming up in November. No. So I definitely need to follow up on that court date.
Because I remember we reviewed that and I said that that was the least believable hoax hate.
You never know. That's kind of the fun of the bit. You never really know. But we'll see what happens in the court. I'm telling you that something about that story is just weird. It's the third grade style of it. It's
yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't sit right. I don't like it.
Yeah. It was like newspaper clippings too. He just clipped out an image of the Confederate flag that was labeled Confederate flag.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
That was that one. Yeah.
He dreams about being racially profiled. I mean, it's what he wants.
I mean, it was interesting how he phrased a lot of it too. You might not see it and you might not experience it, but it's there. You just have to believe me. It's there. It's mystical and magical and it's everywhere, but you can't see it and you can't feel it. You just have to believe. It's like your imaginary friend.
Oh, yikes. All right.
It's a good transition into hoax hate. Speaking of like trying to perpetuate it.
I'm just trying to gear up. I'm gearing up for surprise cringe. That's the real thing.
Okay. Should we get through the hoax hate and then we'll take a break and then we can do surprise cringe? Sound like a plan?
Oh, yeah, I guess so, man. All right.
Hoax hate is fun. So we talked about this before. What was the context in which we spoke about this previously? Basically, what's frustrating to me is even in the cases where we have hoax hate that is confirmed to be a hoax, at least, and here's what I mean by hoax. A swastika that is not done by a Nazi of the Aryan race. Let's put it that way. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by hoax.
Yeah.
When
if the lines aren't straight and the same size, you can be pretty assured that it wasn't a Nazi.
Yes. So even in cases where we know it's confirmed, it seems like people who acknowledge that it's confirmed still don't get to that. They don't make that final step. They say, well, why would he do this? Was he an actual black Nazi? Did he actually hate the Jews? I can't believe it. They don't make that extra step to say, this is clearly to perpetuate a victim narrative.
Yeah.
It's clearly to perpetuate a political narrative.
We talked about this and there was the interview with the college girl. Was this last week or a few weeks ago?
That's the thing is they run together and in this story too, they interview students and one of the students says something very similar, like almost identical.
Case.
And it's a different case. This is at Eastern Michigan University. So here's the news story. Eastern Michigan University. This happened, the actual graffiti happened last year, 2016, and it's now being exposed. There were like massive marches and it was a big controversy. Oh, I forgot. I forgot. Should I play the sounder? Or should we just move into it?
Whatever you want.
Rules are rules. I'm going to drink a beer while it's